What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful Friday night. Listen, Michele Evans, who is Shannon Sharpe's ex, she has sat down with the Sun and she has given her side of the story in regards to an alleged attack from Shannon Sharpe. So, more people, similarly to the Diddy case, after Cassie sued him and got the courage to come forward, the dominoes started falling. I feel like this is going to be a similar trajectory. And Shannon Sharpe, unfortunately for him, I feel like it's just the beginning of his downfall. But let's go ahead and listen to what Michele has to say in her own words.
Biggest argument that we ever got in. And he was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand. We met in actually the press room at the Broncos, April of 2002. And but we didn't start talking until we met up at a club at Blue 67 in Denver. I don't know if anyone is listening from Denver, but yeah, we were at a club at the same time. We didn't go together. We just happened to both be there. And so he started talking to me and started pursuing me pretty heavily from then on. I resisted for a while because, I was a reporter and I didn't want to mix the two. But he's very charming. And we dated until the 2010 incident. And then it came to abrupt end because I wanted, we were arguing and he was threatening me and stuff like that after, but I didn't see him again after he raped me.
So what led up to that fight, that 2010 fight that you guys, I know that the argument ensued first before he allegedly raped you?
The argument was about the fact that he had removed one girl from his house and put another girl in his house and didn't tell me. And he had asked me to break up with my husband at the time. We were just dating, so I was dating Shannon and my husband at the same time. Shannon asked me to break up with my husband, and I don't recall for sure, but I think I did. And so, it's like, wait a minute, you want me to be with just you, but you want to move somebody into your house and not even tell me? So that's what it stemmed from. He's not a faithful person, so I wasn't going to be faithful to a non-faithful person. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway.
Can you tell us just broadly, I know it's probably painful to relive this situation, but can you tell us generally what happened that day?
It was fighting, and usually we fought on the phone and not in person. So it was the biggest argument that we ever got in. And he was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand, and he wanted to have sex, and I told him no. No, because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no, I told him why. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his penis in my mouth. And after he got enough of that, he put me on the bed. And, this was all a struggle. So I had said no. And I said no, even though I was thinking that. And so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard. I remember he got dressed and he knew what he did. And so, I just kind of escorted him out the door. And then I wasn't going to do anything about it. sometimes when you're with the person for a long time, it's hard for you to realize that they're being a perpetrator, even though you know it, you don't want to admit it, and there's so much going through your mind. But then he started coming at me. If I tell anybody, he'll use everybody he knows to destroy me, which he basically has. And then he started making other threats against my life, threats. He just was so worried that it would get out, and I wasn't going to do anything. But when he kept calling me at work, and when he kept, just very aggressively behaving, and I could see it wasn't going to go away, and he said he was going to destroy me, and he was going to kill me, and he told me he was watching me, and all that. I just went and got a protective order. I'd had enough. And unfortunately, shortly after, he doxed me, and my address got out, and I had somebody stop by my apartment, which had a door that led right to the side. It was basically on the sidewalk. And somebody came up to my door and said, "Shut up," screamed it at the top of their lungs. And I had my daughter in there right there. And I was like, oh, no. And so I went in and I dropped it, because also at my house, not my apartment, my house, at my house, somebody came to my house and sat out front in the driveway while my daughter was there alone. Someone came to my house, someone came to my apartment, and after my daughter called me, that's when I went straight there.
So after you rescinded the restraining order, was there any other weird stuff, or did it kind of just die down?
It died down. I tried to move on with my life. We may have talked, I think, once or twice. But then he started going on television. He came to my job, Turner Broadcasting, went on TV at CNN, and it was my job to put the videos from up to YouTube for CNN. That was part of my job. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting up this video, and then here I see Shannon at my job talking about domestic violence, and the co-host mentioned that, oh, you had one that was just totally dropped, made it look like the police dropped it, not that I had gone down and withdrawn it. It created a picture that wasn't accurate. And that was a very hostile work environment.
I'm going to ask something that might be a little sensitive or might sound insensitive, I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and ask it because it's a question that I'm sure people are wondering. Why didn't you file a police report when he raped you?
Because I was scared for my life. He said he would use it. Everybody he knows, and he knows lots of police officers. So I didn't know that if I went down there, that would be one of the people that he knows. Atlanta has a problem with corruption down there. And I was too scared to go to the police. Because when this happens, you're in a trauma mindset. You're not in a, every day you and I are talking here like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should do that. No, you're like feared for your life. You're traumatized. You're not thinking straight. You're having anxiety and panic attacks. And I was worried that he would, get a hold of this police officer, and who knows what would happen. And so it was just a decision, and it's a decision a lot of rape victims make, to not go to the police. They always say the woman is crazy. Hey, I might be at this point after everything I've dealt with. But back then, no. Definitely not crazy. And to see him paint me the way that he did, first off, I'm not somebody crawling out of the woodwork to talk about my connection with him like he insinuated in his statement. I've been out. I've been suing him.
What's your message to his latest accuser, who's been doxing? What did you say to her? If you can send a message to her.
I pray for you. I have been there. I've been dealing with this for 15 years, so I know what you're going through.
Okay, so that was Michele Evans, Shannon Sharpe's ex. I just wanted you guys to hear, her story and her words. that she relayed to the reporter at The Sun. And listen, this whole situation is, it's heartbreaking, right? You never want to hear people go through something so horrific. She's keeping the other young woman in prayer, lifted up in prayer. And Shannon Sharpe, unfortunately, having multiple women. I think another YouTuber, I forget her name. Anyway, a couple people have said it, actually multiple now that I think about it, have said that Shannon Sharpe, has had around 23, 24 people, women that have come forward, but it was always swept under the rugs. A lot of athletes, unfortunately, especially if they're wealthy, are protected, have their um, crimes against women, particularly, swept under the rug. So I don't know if Shannon has been getting away with this his whole life, his whole career, but these are allegations. But I will say that when multiple people start telling the exact same story, it builds their credibility. And Shannon has already been dismissed from ESPN. He's already lost his $100 million podcast contract. I've stopped watching, Club Shay Shay. I never was watching Nightcap, but I'm not sure if this is going to move from the civil realm to the criminal. It has the possibility to do so. So I will keep you posted. But I'm wondering if more people are going to start speaking out. Hopefully, they do. I mean, I feel like all victims, if they choose to, right, if they have that agency and they want to, come out and tell their story and it's part of their healing journey, I'm absolutely here for it. So, but I feel like Shannon Sharpe and his career in regards to being a part of mainstream, I feel like that's over. I know he thinks that he's going to come back to or to ESPN. He said what, the NFL preseason or something. I doubt that seriously. Um, I don't know what's going to happen in regards to YouTube, but like I said, I'm not going to be watching him or supporting him anymore. My time is really limited anyway. So the last thing I want to do is give my time and attention to Shannon Sharpe, and help him, build his brand, or build his YouTube channel, because all these women coming out is disgusting, and there needs to be some kind of accountability. So you guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about what Michele Evans said in regards to her story? I hope that she has a really good therapist, a pastor, someone that can help her on her healing journey. And the same with Gabby, the young woman that's going through it right now. I know a lot of people um, are saying that she's looking for a payday. She turned down $10 million. And this is just my own personal view, I feel like she should have taken the $10 million. But after hiring Tony Busby, who is just problematic in and of himself, when he heard about the Shannon Sharpe $100 million podcast deal on the table, he encouraged her, in my opinion, to go for half the 50 million. And now I'm like, well, what's half of nothing? Or you know what I mean? Like, when he offered that $10 million back then, he had it to give. Now that $100 million is off the table because of this. And so, greed, I'm telling you, it takes people down every time. Arrogance takes people down every single time. When he had that 10 million to give, I feel like she would have been smart to take it. But now, especially after all the lawyers and the income streams are drying up left and right, who knows how much he's going to have left. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.